Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Katie and welcome to another bookish adventure. So today we are doing my June wrap up and wait, no, is it June? Yeah, June. I was thinking about May for some reason. Yeah, my June wrap up and my July TBR. There we go, I was thinking of May for some reason. So this month I did 3 books. I listened to 12 hours and 48 minutes. I think that's about right. I'm currently sitting on 650 pages and it is the 26th of June. Yeah, it's a Saturday. It's 26th of June. I'm like 99% sure that's the right date. And my average rating for this month has been 4.33 stars. So let's dive right in with the first book, and that is We Hunt the Flames by House Fire Sale. So I finished reading this from the month before and my gosh, it is so good. I loved it so much. I gave this 4.5 stars only because I just didn't have like an emotional connection to the characters. I think that is the only reason why. I love them. I love the plot. I love the story. I love where it went, because a lot of it I really wasn't predicting, and especially the start of it and how the journey began. So yeah, I just think there just wasn't quite this emotional connection that I normally have, and I'm wondering if in the second book that is going to happen. So this book follows our huntress, I say Sapphira, I don't know that if that is right, and she is feeding her starving village by entering this dangerous and dark forest that basically no one can enter. If they enter it, they die or come out mad. And she's going in there and feeding her village under the guise of pretending to be a man, and very few people actually know who she is. And on the flip side of this, you have our Prince of Darkness, and he is the son of the Sultan, the one who is in charge of this kingdom, and basically he has been honed into this weapon. He is merciless, he's ruthless, but everyone knows who he is. Everyone knows what he is dispatched off to do. Like, it's not a secret, people know that he is a weapon. And I do hugely feel sorry for him because everyone is terrified of him, and he definitely is conflicted because he is just desperate for a glimmer, a tiny piece of love that he once felt from his father, and to feel like he is doing the right thing even though he knows he's not doing the right thing. And our huntress is approached by a mysterious silver witch who gives her the opportunity to travel to this evil kind of island in the middle of the kingdom, which is surrounded by this forest, to retrieve an object that could bring back magic. And each of the kingdoms or califrates have been affected in some way with the loss of magic, and in her case, her place of I was supposed to say place of worship, what? Where she lives, basically snow. That is it. Cold weather, snow all the time. I don't think she's actually ever seen sand. She's only heard stories from her parents. Lots of different places are affected in different ways. On the flip side of this, our prince is also sent by his father to go and retrieve this item, and basically it is to use the huntress and kill her. Basically every mission ends in do what you have to and then kill them. So our prince is also accompanied by someone from the royal palace, and I love their kind of back and forth, and I definitely wanted their friendship to become a bit more stronger and a bit more of a thing. Him and Alatar are very amusing together because Alatar doesn't really take any of his shit. He's always teasing him, going, oh look, it's the miserable prince, like stuff like that, and he's like, oh, you're gonna stab me yet? I do love their back and forth. And then whilst on this island they meet some other people who've also turned up for this missing object. So it's kind of, okay, what is the silver witch's kind of end game here, because why can't she get it if she's so powerful? You also find out a lot of history about the kingdom itself and how it got to this point and the disappearance of magic. But it is so good, and it is just watching the change, particularly in the prince, because he doesn't have this dark heart straight away. There is still a part of him that is like, I just want to be a good person, be loved by my daddy. But yeah, it was really good, and I'm really excited for the sequel. I'm an idiot for putting off for so long, but I did just kind of keep forgetting about it. That is the reason why. So next up we have Harley, Merlin and the Mystery Twins. So this is the second book in this series, and I think I gave this book 3.5. Again, it still has potential. It still has a chance to become something really good. It did have an extra point of view in this book. So in the first one we only followed Harley, whereas this one we followed Tatiana, and I'm hoping that going forward we're either gonna add multiple characters, which maybe will make the books bigger, however will make them more interesting and more stuff will happen, or maybe we're gonna switch different characters. Each book will have a different point of view, which again I am happy with. I think it will add something new and something different each time. You know, Harley being an empath, yes, she can read off people's emotions, but obviously you don't know everything about them, and a lot of these people have been part of the San Diego government for a long time. A lot of them have certain backgrounds which are more interesting than others, and my battery's about to die, so awesome. Hello, I'm back. So I've had breakfast. I've literally done things the other way around. So I feel like I might end up talking a lot faster in this section, only because I'm now back to front and I have work in a bit. So as I was saying, Ari, Harley, Merlin and Mercy twins, mystery twins, the extra point of view did help because Tatiana has a very interesting power. She's a very interesting background, and her is like, in general, she doesn't give off a lot. And Harley has actually only been in the coven for about a month, so she doesn't know these people really well to be like best friends, but there is definitely like a love there. So the plot of this book is Harley is still undergoing her not initiation, trial run with the coven. She found out all the stuff that she found out in the first book, and we've sort of set up the kind of overarching story. Bad guy trying to become like the child of chaos, trying to build an army is kind of how it seems to be going, whilst also sort of understanding the truth about what happened with her parents and kind of getting to grips with her Merlin legacy, like the name of it. And in this, they've realized that some children, magical children, are being targeted by said people, and they decide to sort of go in and like extract them, bring them to the coven. However, Harley being a foster child, they come across one family and she decides to stick her nose in and ultimately says, well, why don't we leave them where they are, you know, we'll place charms, wardens, stuff like that, we'll check in with them, you know, just bring them to the coven so that they can be schooled with other magicals, learn how to use their powers, learn how to grow and all that stuff, but stay happily with their families. So they decide to do that, and eventually a lot of these families start becoming targets. Some of the children like disappear, run off, get taken, and it is kind of slowly building up this chain of events that these mystery twins clearly have a lot to do with these families and have been visiting these families prior, and no one can quite get what they're going on. So this is a very simplistic storyline. I guess a couple of bits, and sometimes it does feel a bit like, come on, like they're a bit slow on the uptake. However, it is really good. The magical element of it is really cool in that we get descriptions of fight scenes. It isn't glossed over, so the fact that they're throwing fireballs and they're doing mental stuff like telekinesis stuff, none of it is glossed over, so it is really enjoyable that you actually get to have the magical fight. And this is where I'm hoping that we do alternate either with point of views or we have more and more, because they all have different abilities, they all have different strengths, and that is something I'm really looking forward to. So the next book I read, and I actually finished this one yesterday, Queen of the Conquered. I gave this book 5 stars, so this is currently sitting up there with my favorites, and to be honest, I have like 2, 3 for this year. This book was so good. I highly recommend it. I definitely want to do a review on it because I really want to talk about this more in depth. It's gonna be so hard to try and like narrow this down, but everyone I think will know this author for doing one called, oh shit, it's called something Felix. I looked it up last night and I left my friend in the other room. And yeah, I don't think this author is well known actually for this. When I looked it up, this book is more based to adults and not necessarily a YA book, and I definitely get that. I will say there are trigger warnings for violence, for slavery. There is just generally the talk of violence is constant. There is constant talk about hanging a child. There is a lot. This book is a book that takes place during slavery, and it is one of those books that it either could have shied away or gone with it, and it could have been too much. And I think it just hits the right level. I was really concerned that this book was going to be a bit much emotionally and mentally because of the fact that it takes place during slavery and the fact that, yeah, everyone hates her and her skin, but it is handled really amazingly that I didn't struggle. I didn't find it too hard. I just really didn't know because I hadn't read anything like this, because I know sometimes I have a tendency, clearly, I like period dramas. However, a lot of period dramas are set in the past because they're period dramas, and therefore racism is at its height, and sometimes it can be really difficult, and I find myself getting angry when people say stuff, and I have to keep telling myself it is just a show, it's depicting what happened. It is really difficult because if they didn't depict this, it wouldn't be realistic. So this book focuses on Sigourney. Now, I've said this before and I'll summarize this really quickly. The original Goodreads summary that I read is very different to what is out now, so this is why this book was such a surprise and blew me away if you watched my reading vlog on this. And the synopsis on the back of this book kind of marries with that Goodreads original summary, which was Sigourney is the lone survivor of a massacre which took out her family on these colonized islands, and basically she uses her craft of like reading thoughts, being able to enter people's bodies to negotiate her way through these noble families as the king is trying to pick an heir at the end of the storm season, and basically she wants to be made regent and get her revenge. So my initial thoughts was this was her coming from a background of she's a slave, she's somehow going to work her way up, and I was really intrigued as to how the hell she was going to do that without people being like, hang on a second, this is weird. And then when she gets to this island, she realizes that there is someone else with a magic who is targeting not only her but these other nobility. So the actual premise of this book and the actual now new summary that is on Goodreads is that she is a member of the nobility through a chain of things I won't go into, she has ended up one of these people, because also it will give away so much stuff. So yeah, she's actually part of this higher tier. So this book very cleverly talks about racism, but it also talks about racism in the terms of she is an islander who owns her own slaves. She has her own plantation, she has her own island, she is one of them. And it is the very clever thing of, you can sit there and say, I'd be different, I would free them. However, you are being given a taste of freedom. You are being given, I say freedom, power, money, you know, and I think it becomes that thing of, if she really was in charge, would she free her people? Because you've got that taste for it. And I think it comes down to a point of, you want to prove to them that you are worthy, that you are better, like you are just as good as them. But at the end of the day, they are not gonna change. Like, that is how they have been born and raised. Like, it's just indoctrinated. And I think it's so cleverly done, because she's hated by her people, but she's also, there's so much like self-hate as well that comes from her, because she just, it is weird, she feels guilty, but then at the same time she's like, I have my goal, I can't tell people. However, you do think, is it more power that you're motivated by? It was amazing, because she's not an immediately likable character, and she's also, you find yourself feeling sympathizing for her, because she's in a really tough situation, and it is the could you done better. It is really cleverly done. I'm so excited for the sequel. I did guess a couple of bits, but the whole thing was so unpredictable, and the whole overarching thing and the scale of it, yeah, I didn't quite get that, but I totally I had like the initial nugget of it. But yeah, I so recommend this, and I can't wait to do a proper review. So we are on to my July picks, and so I'm gonna continue finally with Muse of Nightmares. I'm actually gonna listen to this as an audiobook, because I really enjoyed the first one, Strange the Dreamer. The actor's voice sounded a little bit like Richard Armitage, so you know, who doesn't want that of a morning? And I think because the prose is so lyrical, so magical, it definitely adds to it, and it adds to that world. I have to say, I have a lot pinned on this book. I don't want to say I didn't enjoy the first one, but I think it was definitely unexpected, and it just wasn't what I was expecting. It was definitely more character driven than plot driven, and it definitely felt like it was just setting up for this book. So I kind of am now looking at this like, this is going to be the book that I expected for the first one, where the characters are established, the world is established, give me some meat in terms of plot, because it's there now. So I am really excited. My friend Beth has actually finished this recently, and she did say it was better. So this is the thing, like, it's not that the first book was bad, but if I had known that it was going to be character driven and world building driven, I would have gone into it with a different mindset. All I've ever seen is hype and love for this duology, so I had very high and I guess different expectations to what came out. But I am excited for it. But yeah, I don't want to be like, I'm pinning my hopes on this duology on this, because I think as a duology it could be amazing, but as two separate books, I think potentially this could be the clear winner. And it's one of those things, considering how hefty it is, would you want to go through reading this one again when the first one was a bit but again, when I go to reread them, knowing that this first book is that way inclined, I will have a different appreciation for it. I will definitely enjoy it in a completely different way, because I know that is what's to come. But yeah, I think not knowing definitely made it a bit like, oh, okay. So I don't want to say I was disappointed by it, but I was just, yeah, I guess I had my own expectations. And the second book I'm bringing to you is A River of Royal Blood. I'm very excited for this one. This is another book that I found whilst researching books by Black authors. This is another one that is kind of up there on my 2021 high expectations. Don't know why, it just kind of is. The vibe of it, I think because it's just so new and unknown, and I guess I've not seen a lot about it. I've not been influenced by anything, and the story has just kind of got me. So this is a book between two sisters. I don't know if it flips between the two. Eva is a princess who is born with a very dark magic, and it's a magic that hasn't been seen for a very, very long time, and the last queen who had it basically killed her sister and was kind of dark, and that initial moment generations ago is what triggers off these blood trials, and basically the two sisters battle it out to become the queen and take the throne. So basically only the strongest will live. I don't know how they're raised, I don't know if they're raised together or separately, but yeah, her sister is coming for her, and obviously she is gonna have to go for her too, which I think is something that she doesn't necessarily want to do, but it's the way of life. So she is going to seek out help from a fae to help her with her magic, because she has this very dark magic. I think it's blood and marrow magic. I think, yes, blood and magic, blood and marrow. So yeah, sounds dark and gross. I'm really excited for this. I like the idea of this, that, you know, this moment generations ago is something that's triggered a thing that now is just part of the tradition that you, like, there is no succession, it's you fight to the death, really. However, before they hit their 17th birthday, when it sort of is the time that it happens, I feel like I'm doing that a lot, sorry, that she is targeted by an assassin, it becomes very clear that someone else is after her, not just her sister. I don't know if this is going to be because of her dark magic, that maybe they don't want her on the throne because they're thinking we don't want it to be like that last crazy bitch who, like, was not great. So yeah, I am very excited for this. I know there is a sequel out to it already, however the sequel doesn't have the same cover, so I'm kind of freaking out about what to do at the moment, but we're just trying to, like, put that aside. And then finally, I'm thinking about reading, I've got a couple of novellas on my Kindle that I need to read because I'm thinking about reading the sequel to The Wrath and the Dawn, The Rose and the Dagger, something along those lines. Yeah, I want to read those. I literally bought, I think they went off like 99p or like nothing, which is pretty much the only reason why I bought those and the two for the other series, because they're so short, like pages, they would, to my opinion, wouldn't really have been worth it. You could have just done a bind up of the two and it would have made a bit more sense. But yeah, so I kind of need to cram those in just like really quickly. It would help if I remember to charge my Kindle. Keep thinking about reading that soon because I really enjoyed the first book. I'm desperate to see how it pans out because of how it got left and where the characters were by the end of it. So I'm like, I really need to pick that up, and I'm getting to a point now where we're over halfway into the year. I need to start like finishing the things I started at the start of the year. So that is it for this video. Sorry about the chop, but luckily I was really concerned that my battery wouldn't hold out for this second half, but for you. So let me know in the comments what you read for June, what was your favourite, did not quite pan out, and what are you planning to do for July, and have you read any of these books, and have I sort of whetted your appetite with all these books by Black authors that I'm bringing to you, which are a bit more different, especially Queen of the Conquered. I cannot like express this enough, like you need to read that book because it is so like, oh my god, it was just really good. If you enjoyed this video and you want to give it a thumbs up, do that, and if you want to follow, do that too.